Robert had no idea our entire family was watching when he opened the screen filled with mirror selfies of legs in black stockings. He'd forgotten to turn off screen mirroring when he went to the restroom, instantly turning a company meeting into a family meeting. And the person who sent those leg photos to my fiancé? It was my brother's wife, Sarah Thompson. After my mother passed away, I stepped into her shoes. I, a wealthy heiress, much preferred spending lavishly and shopping to being stuck in the office all day. Buying things was my plan for the future. So, I had invited my fiancé over today to discuss grooming him for the general manager position with Dad. After all, I have a younger brother, Dave, who's handsome and smart, the heir to Miller Enterprises. With Dad as my backing and Dave as my personal bank, grooming my future husband into a business elite, my future looked bright. Dad looked at his prospective son-in-law with a benevolent smile. Robert, put your PPT up on the projector screen. Let's see how your recent studies are going. Dave and I, though both Miller children, were treated completely differently. I was the only girl in the family. The night Mom died, Dad and Dave told me they'd protect me from then on. So, they genuinely intended to groom Robert for my future well-being. Robert seemed quite ambitious, at least outwardly. He was always busy late into the night, with no time to contact me, even spending weekends entertaining clients. Robert diligently connected his phone to the projector screen. "Mr. Miller," he began, "I stayed up for 2 nights working on this plan for the project. Please take a look." I didn't understand a word of their project talk. While sipping my hand-ground coffee, I watched the message notifications constantly popping up on the projector screen. I couldn't see the content, only that you received a text message. He never texted me back this often. Usually, if Robert didn't reply, I wouldn't send a second message. After about a dozen messages popped up, I finally lost my patience. I glanced up at Robert. He paused, seeming to sense my displeasure, and offered a smile. "I've been busy with work these past few days. People keep contacting me. Sophie, if you're bored, feel free to go out." Go out? He clearly didn't understand that if it weren't for my strong recommendation, his days of becoming general manager would be light years away. "No, you continue," I said. I shifted my gaze away from him. That's what I said. But his eyes hadn't settled since the first message popped up, and my suspicion hadn't stopped either. Robert didn't come from a wealthy family. Finding me was the luckiest thing that had ever happened to him. What else could he possibly want? "Mr. Miller, that's my plan. Do you think I can take on this project?" Robert scratched his head, looking unassuming, which made it hard to suspect him. At my urging, Dad was also planning on grooming him for the general manager position. His stability meant my future stability. So even though the plan wasn't perfect, Dad turned a blind eye. "Not bad," Dad said. "Come with me to the morning meeting tomorrow. You can handle the general manager position." Robert visibly relaxed when he heard that. He glanced at the messages still popping up on the screen. "Mr. Miller, I need to use the restroom." "Sophie, what do you want to eat? I'll treat us to dinner." With that, Robert rubbed my shoulder, his touch gentle and attentive, seemingly faultless. Robert left in such a hurry that he forgot his phone screen was still mirrored on the projector screen. "Robert, I'm really getting fat," read the first line I saw on the screen. That was the first message I saw on the screen. As the screen scrolled down, photo after photo came into view. "Holy hell, Robert, that bastard. Flirting." Dave slammed his fist on the table. Dad apparently hadn't expected Robert to be playing games like this either. He was furious, muttering curses under his breath. Compared to them, I was the calmest one. I looked at the pictures on the screen. Mirror selfies of legs in black stockings, showing everything they were meant to show and hide. Finally, a message popped up on the right side of the message box. "Baby, you're so enticing. Wait for me at our usual spot tonight." Dave finally couldn't stand it. He jumped up, ready to confront Robert. "I'm going to make their lives a living hell today." I sneered and pulled him back. "Take a good look at who he's talking to." Dave finally focused on the other person's profile picture. Instantly, fire seemed to shoot from his eyes. "That bitch. I'm going to divorce her right now, and then beat that despicable man Robert to death." Dad was speechless with rage, unable to utter a word for a long time. Of course, his future son-in-law and daughter-in-law were having an affair. He must have been completely devastated inside. "No need to rush," I said. My eyes glinted with cruelty. Dave, thinking I was stunned by anger, grabbed my arm. "Sis, you're not going to let that despicable pair get away with this, are you?" I scoffed. "Don't dirty your own hands. I have ways to make them suffer." It's strange, but when I saw Robert cheating and being so brazen with my sister-in-law, my first reaction wasn't to make a scene. It was revenge. I wanted to kill them, but I didn't want them to get off that easy. That would be letting them off too lightly. Dave and Sarah Thompson didn't have deep feelings for each other. The main reason for his anger was more about his male pride. "Sis, what are you planning to do?" Dave listened to me. Even though he was angry, he still asked for my opinion first. I've never liked scheming, but anyone who crosses me will pay tenfold. A hint of amusement flickered in my eyes. To deal with scum like them, of course you have to use what they care about most. After dawdling for over 20 minutes, Robert finally returned as if nothing happened. The first thing he did was ask Dad, "Mr. Miller, is there anything I need to prepare for tomorrow?" The implication was clear. If Dad took him to the morning meeting tomorrow, would he officially become the general manager? Faced with Robert's probing, Dad was clearly about to lose it. "You don't need to prepare anything. It's not even certain if I'll take you tomorrow." Seeing Robert's confused expression, I quickly smoothed things over. "Dad must be tired. Dave, you stay with Dad. I'll go out and talk to Robert." Before pulling Robert outside, I gave Dave a look. If Dad couldn't keep up the act, the plan would be ruined. Robert thought Dad had changed his mind. As soon as we were outside, he grabbed my hand, putting on a pitiful act. "Sophie, did I do something wrong? If Mr. Miller doesn't give me the general manager position, how will I be able to support you?" It only just hit me how disgusting Robert's freeloading, entitled attitude was. I was initially attracted to how diligent and humble he seemed. I never expected it was all a facade. But then who can't put on an act? "Don't worry," I reassured him, feigning concern. "Dad only has Dave and me. The company will be ours eventually. He must just be testing you." I pretended to be sympathetic and comforted Robert. Hearing my words, he visibly relaxed. He asked me cautiously, "So what should I do to make Mr. Miller happy?" I had successfully turned the tables. "Treat Dad to dinner later," I said. "Bite the bullet and shell out the money to eat at Golden Harbor." Robert's eyes widened in shock. "Golden Harbor? Won't that be too expensive? And the food there isn't even good." The way he felt pained about spending money while making excuses was truly ugly. I'd already thrown up in my mind 100 times, but I had to make him pay. "It's worth it," I insisted. "How much can a meal cost? You're going to be the general manager, with an annual salary in the millions. Don't you know if this dinner is worth it?" Robert hesitated. I added another sentence, urging him to make up his mind. "Don't worry, I won't order anything expensive. I'll make sure to save you money." With that assurance, Robert agreed, but he was still clearly unhappy. I knew Robert only had tens of thousands of dollars on hand. A meal at Golden Harbor would easily cost a six-figure sum. Just before leaving, Robert claimed he needed to use the restroom again. The three of us waited for him in the car. "Sis, you guessed right," Dave said, grinding his teeth. "That bitch Sarah Thompson just texted me." Robert didn't have that kind of money, so he'd definitely ask his accomplice for it. Sarah Thompson could only get the money from Dave. I snatched Dave's phone and drafted a message. "The company just started a new project. I don't have cash on hand either. You take out a loan first. The company will get funds in a few days, and I'll pay you back the principal and interest." Dave instantly understood what I meant and gave me a thumbs up. "Brilliant," he said. Dad caught on at that moment too. Just then, he posted an ad on his social media feed for a loan that Robert would never be able to pay off in his lifetime. Less than 10 minutes later, Robert came running over excitedly. Even his voice was more confident. "All right, let's go eat at Golden Harbor." I didn't have much of an impression of Sarah Thompson. I only knew her family wasn't particularly wealthy, but one day Dave inexplicably brought her home as his wife. So, on the way, I had my friend investigate Sarah Thompson and Robert. Today, Golden Harbor was unusually busy. To get a table, we'd have to wait at least half an hour. Usually, there was no need to wait in line here. What was going on today? Robert, likely afraid Dad would be displeased, casually remarked, "It's so expensive here, there shouldn't be this many people eating, right? Taking this opportunity to show off, too? The only reason Golden Harbor was so crowded was because of one phone call from yours truly." I pulled Robert aside, acting as if I was thinking only of him. "Maybe we shouldn't wait," I suggested. "Given Dad's status, having to wait for a meal? He'll definitely be unhappy. If he's unhappy, your becoming general manager will be up in the air." Robert thought I wanted to go somewhere else. He eagerly pulled out his phone. "I'll go book another restaurant right away." "Golden Harbor has an unwritten rule," I said. "If you pay an extra $50,000, you can eat on the VIP floor without waiting." I reminded him at just the right time, then savored Robert's painful expression. This was just the beginning. Although Robert was 100% unhappy, he, this social climber, hadn't gained real power yet and could only painfully shell out the money. What he didn't see was the look the restaurant manager and I exchanged as he went to pay. No one would dare charge the Miller family for a meal here. $50,000. I didn't ask for more or less. Robert only had that much money on him. The restaurant manager was very discreet. The moment Robert paid him, he immediately transferred it to my card. "Dave," Dad said, "call Sarah Thompson over too. Let's have a lively family meal together. Just as I was wondering what the next step should be, Dad finally calmed down. Instantly, a new plan formed in my mind. "I'm going out for a moment," I announced. "I'll be right back." Right next to Golden Harbor was a jewelry store. However, $50,000 wasn't nearly enough to buy the jewelry I liked. I had to add another $50,000 from my own pocket to buy a diamond necklace. Robert and I had been together for over a year. In that time, I'd subsidized him with at least a six-figure sum, large and small. Yet, he had never bought me a single decent gift. Wearing this necklace felt particularly disgusting to me, but for the next step of the plan I had to endure it. "Sis, you're here." As soon as I walked in, Sarah Thompson was already there. She clung intimately to my arm. Her perfectly applied red lipstick looked slightly smudged, with signs of having been touched up. As a woman, how could I not see what had happened to her lips? I instinctively glanced at Robert and smirked inwardly. There was no lipstick mark on his mouth, but his lips were dry, clearly wiped hard with tissue. Daring to do this in front of my family? Just how desperate were these two? I didn't have much genuine affection for Robert, so even discovering this didn't make me angry enough to lose my mind. I pretended as if nothing had happened, letting Sarah Thompson pull me to a seat. The family sat, each with their own agenda, with little conversation at the table. I deliberately pulled down my collar slightly, exposing the diamond necklace I just bought. It immediately captured Sarah Thompson's attention. Her eyes were practically glued to the necklace. "Sister, did you buy new jewelry? Didn't you just buy some the other day? Shouldn't you be a little more thrifty?" Sarah Thompson asked. Dad couldn't stand anyone having even the slightest opinion about his daughter. With strong personal resentment, he snapped, "My daughter, Sophie Miller, needs to be timid about buying jewelry? The Miller family always spoiled me, and Sarah Thompson knew it." She forced a smile and said nothing more, but her expression was terrible. She was probably green with envy. My turn, I thought. Haven't even unleashed the big move yet. And she's already losing her cool? I smiled coyly. Leaning against Robert's shoulder, I said, "Robert bought this for me. Just bought it, it's brand new." Sarah Thompson's expression instantly turned ugly when she heard that. Her gaze darted back and forth between Robert and me. I could almost hear her grinding her teeth and swallowing her rage. Sarah Thompson's fake smile was about to break. She was digging her thumbnail into her palm so hard it looked like it might break. Watching her felt incredibly satisfying. Robert initially looked confused, but seeing Sarah Thompson's expression, he started to fidget. He began. I pinched his waist hard. Before he could react, I whispered in his ear, "This is all for your own good. You haven't given me a gift in so long." Dad was definitely unhappy about it. "I paid for this myself to improve your standing. Aren't you going to thank me?" After saying that, I deliberately wiggled my eyebrows at Robert. To Sarah Thompson, it must have looked like I was flirting. At this moment, she was probably exploding with rage. Robert had no money for dinner, asked her for a loan, and then turned around and gave me a diamond necklace. It was thrilling just thinking about how that must feel for her. "What's wrong? Are you jealous?" Dave asked, his tone unreadable. My heart jumped. Looks like my brother was about to make a move too. I later learned that Sarah Thompson's family wasn't poor, but sadly, she was the child Mr. Thompson had unexpectedly with a member of his staff. As a result, she wasn't very favored by her family. When she married my brother, she had promised to bring benefits to Miller Enterprises. All Dave cared about was the Miller family and Miller Enterprises. His family was pressuring him to marry, so he agreed. Later, Sarah Thompson acted pitiful and didn't ask Dave for spending money, and Dave was too lazy to divorce her. That's why Dave was only angry, not heartbroken, after finding out about the betrayal. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. When Sarah Thompson heard my brother's question, she immediately put on a show of being a good wife. "How could I? I envy sister's good background. You and Dad both spoil her." I wasn't in a hurry. I smiled and said, "Mainly it's Robert who's good to me. You should make Dave dote on you more." With that, I suppressed my disgust and hooked my arm through Robert's, leaning against him. Robert was smiling broadly, but his legs, which he was deliberately trying to keep away from me, didn't escape my notice. Dave, suppressing his anger, asked Sarah Thompson, "Do you think I don't treat you well normally?" "I guess so. Keeping you at home all the time must be quite boring." "Well, since Robert is about to become general manager, why don't you be his secretary?" I saw what Dave was getting at and chimed in opportunistically. "Exactly. Compared to other women, I'd be much more at ease with Sarah Thompson as Robert's secretary." Sarah Thompson's expression clearly showed she was deliberately suppressing her reaction. She agreed reservedly. "All right, you can rest assured." Like hell, I'll rest assured. I just want it to be easier to catch them in the act. "Robert, what do you think?" I asked, clinging to Robert even more dramatically. Robert was probably stunned at that moment, since I'd never acted like this towards him since we started dating. My deliberate closeness finally had an effect. Sarah Thompson's gaze was fixed on us, and her face was awful. "Sister, you two really have such a good relationship," she said. Sarah Thompson's words sounded like they were forced through clenched teeth. Robert agreed with a smile on the surface, but subtly pushed me away. "Mr. Miller is still here," he mumbled. "This isn't appropriate." How could I stop there? Using a seductive tone, I said, "Then we'll just do it secretly at home." I didn't finish my sentence, but it had the desired effect. Sarah Thompson had finally had enough. "I'm not feeling very well today," she announced. "I'll head back first." After Sarah Thompson left, the meal had just begun. I handed the menu to Dad. "Dad," I specifically reminded him, "Robert is footing the bill today. Order whatever you want." Dad truly played along. Following the principle of only ordering the most expensive things, not the practical ones, he ordered 5-figure set menu after 5-figure set menu. After Dad finished ordering, sweat was beading on Robert's forehead. Watching him want to stop Dad but not daring to, I had never felt this much pleasure. Just as he was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the menu landed in Dave's hands. "We'll have the diamond set menu," Dave announced, and also. Still ordering? Robert couldn't take it anymore. 2 bottles of wine alone were practically draining his life savings. "Brother-in-law, you're about to be general manager," Dave said, looking wronged. "Can't we celebrate properly today?" Dave looked wronged, which was also a bit funny. Suppressing my laughter, I reassured Robert. "Today is a happy occasion." Robert was about to go crazy. He was likely pinching his thigh under the table so hard it would bruise. Okay, I figured he didn't have enough money on him anymore. And my brother hadn't stopped yet. He went right ahead and ordered Golden Harbor's hidden set menu. Robert, that spineless man, almost slid under the table. We watched him hurry out, using the restroom as an excuse. We couldn't help ourselves and burst out laughing. "Sis, your move is brutal," Dave exclaimed. "That guy couldn't afford this meal even if he sold everything he owned." I patted Dave's shoulder and smiled. "Tell that lender to give Sarah Thompson a bigger loan amount. As for the terms, well, you know." Dave immediately understood what I meant, gave me a thumbs up, and immediately grabbed his phone to make arrangements. When Robert returned, he looked like he'd aged 10 years. His lips were dry. He must have done a lot of talking. After the meal, I claimed I wasn't feeling well and went straight home. Although Robert didn't say anything directly, his movements to get me into the car were urgent. I was understanding and didn't waste his time. The show was about to start tonight.